do this problem called longest substring without repeating characters. So the problem says given a string, we want to find the length of the longest substring that doesn't have the longest substring of this string without repeating characters. And so so the example we have here is ABC, ABC, BB, and then if we look at the answer here, it's length 3, because if we take this one, length 4, we would get 2 A's. This one of length 4 will get 2 B's, and if you try anything bigger than 3, we'll get duplicate characters, right? And same thing for this one, it's length 1 that has unique characters. Here, length 3 has unique characters by taking this WKE, for example. Anything else would get us duplicate characters. So how can we solve this problem? So if we think about this a little bit, this involves contiguous sequence, right? It involves a contiguous sequence. And we want to find longest something, right? X in a contiguous sequence. That's what we are doing here. So whenever you have a contiguous, I think whenever we have a contiguous sequence and some longest or high max or shortest or something like that, we should think about min window. We should think about sliding window technique. But here, what the information I need is if there are without repeating characters, right? So I will need to think about how do I maintain, like how do I keep my window data, right? So I know that for the window I need I for the start of the window, and I need j for the end of the window, right? So and then I will need a set for the unique characters in the window, so that if I basically what I'm thinking is that basically what I want to know for this window here is when do I expand and when do I collapse. So definitely we should collapse the window when we encounter a duplicate character, right? Because that window is invalid, we shouldn't count it. And when we expand is as long as we don't have, as the character we just processed it is not in the set, right? And so that should be pretty straightforward, right? And so what we can do here is just start a and j with 0 and 1, and then maybe just say while j hasn't reached the length of the string. And from there, what we can do is I need to maintain a set here, so let's call this window. So that would be a set. And so my window will need to start from 0, right? So we need to also maintain like max length. Let's say it's 0. And if, right, Sj is not in the window, then we can expand, right? So this means we can expand. Otherwise, we should collapse, right? So, and then we should update here max length every time. So this should be the max of max length, and j minus I plus 1. That's the length of the window. And that's what we return here at the end. And then for this here, what we need to do to expand is just increment j, and of course add sj to the window, and collapse would mean I minus 1, and we will need to remove. Now the problem here is what should we remove from the set or not? Because let's say we are here ABC and we encounter A, right? So we remove. So we find that it's already there, right? So we need to remove the one at position I, then we need to add the one at the current position. But we could just remove the one at this position and then not increment j, let j be incremented on the next iteration. So that would mean here we could remove si, right? Okay, so we remove from the window, expand and collapse, and we remove it from the window. One last thing we want to see is just if removing from the set, I think works here. So if I have, let's say, S, which is a set here, let's say it's a set of 1, 2, 3. That's S. If I remove 3, I do get 1, 2, so that works. I think this should work, so let's try it. Okay, so here it shouldn't be I plus 1, it should be I plus 1, that should do it after removing. So this should be I plus 1 because we are collapsing by increasing the value of I. Yep, so the size should be that. Okay, now let's try with another example. Let's try with this one and this one. Okay, so that works. Let's try to submit. Okay, so that passes. So pretty straightforward. So this is kind of, if we want to categorize it as part of a sliding window technique, it would be sliding window. But here we have a dynamic window, right? Dynamically resizable window. With like an auxiliary data structure. Here we are using a set. The data structure, right? And the main thing we want to find out for a window here is when to expand it, when to collapse it, and how do we want to keep the window data. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Yeah, I think this covers it.